And breathe. Is this going to be a really long season? Are we going to be talking about breaking records, bad records, records that are bad, records that we don't want to break, or are we going to turn it around? I really need your thoughts. I need you to help me. I need a bit of positivity. We're looking back at West Ham against Sheffield United. We will start at the top because that's usually where people begin, unless we're doing a kind of non-linear narrative, a bit of a Quentin Tarantino style way of bringing you information, but we're not. Team news, it was quite interesting to see the bench, wasn't it? But if we just go through Wes in goal, Bogle, Thomas, Anel, Captain Egan, Jack Robinson, Vinny Souza, McAtee, Hamer, Archer, McBurney back in as we knew he was going to be following his suspension. But as I mentioned, Brewster back on the bench. Not everyone predicted that. There were some whispers, there were some rumours flying about that he would be back in amongst it, and he was. Good to see. So I'm not going to spend too long talking about too much in depth of this. You know, when we've won, I do like to kind of go in on big moments, but this was one of those games where I'm just going to get through the first half. United started all right, a few minutes to kind of test the West Ham defence. Archer had a shot blocked, had another shot over the bar. There were a few other decent efforts and some nice passing. But also, before the West Ham goal, we saw concerning defending as well. Wes was called into a save, then a clearance from Thomas off the line. All could have been very different. And it feels like that's kind of been the story of the season. You know, even before that Newcastle game, stats-wise, it tells you that big score was coming. And of course it did. Now, in this game, we managed to keep the score down. And I'll tell you why I think we did that a little later. But the goal itself, the first goal, was comically bad defending, in my opinion, on 24 minutes. Soufal, yes, you can say nice interplay. Jared Bowen calling for it off the ball. Good run. But he's not exactly keeping himself quiet. You know, he's like waving his arm. It's very obvious that he's the man that wants to receive the pass. And it is a good run. It's passed into him, and he then passes it into the back of the net. But United will be really disappointed. Sheffield United, of course, West Ham United as well. But Sheffield United will be really disappointed with not picking up the runner. You know, a danger man as well. Bowen is someone that Sheffield United have known about since his Hull days. And then you have that goal and you think, right, okay, let's go, Blades. Let's show them what we can do. Didn't work like that at all. West Ham straight away again appealed for a handball. VAR looked at it on Thomas, not given for me. Correct decision. I mean, you never know though, do you? With VAR in the Premier League this season, you just don't know what's going to be given. 37 minutes, 2-0. The first goal, I was furious. I was absolutely furious. And then the second goal, I don't know if you're the same as me. I'm just going to be honest with you, and you can tell me if you feel this is not the sort of thing I should openly say, but I was kind of numb, and it just felt like, right, well, 2-0's the same as 1-0. We've lost this game. It's actually less painful than losing games by terrible decisions from officials. You know, you just go, right, resign to it now. 37 minutes in, this game's over. Start to think about what I'm going to do for the rest of my weekend. You know, that's just me being honest. I probably shouldn't really think like that, but this has been a painful start to the season. It's not been fun to watch. The games where we should have picked up points, you know, apart from Everton at home, which is just 1 point, we haven't. And United gave it away sloppy, really sloppy stuff. You know, Egan passing it into the middle, loose pass from Hamer out to the left. Antonio picks it up to Souche into the box, bottom right corner. Souček, I should say. Oh, he's not French. Bottom right corner, despite a challenge. It was with his left peg for his second in the space of 4 days, his first in the Premier League. And that really, I could just end it there. McBurney, though, we'll talk about what he did because he had a shot on the right, you know, right after the West Ham second. And it was taken off him by the defender, Emerson. It's actually great defending and should have been a corner, but not given. And, you know, I'm not going to get frustrated at that. As I say, by that point, I was very much like, that was my general feeling. Apathy. And that's actually the most dangerous thing as a fan to have. Anger is like, that's a good thing to have as a fan. Apathy is the most dangerous. Now, I'm not apathetic for the rest of the season. I'm just talking about in this game. Archer tried. I thought he tried, but couldn't always keep the ball. But he didn't hide. I will give him that. I'd be very interested to know in the comments, what did you make of Cameron Archer's performance? What have you made of him throughout this I was going to say season. He hasn't played all season. The games he's played. Wes saved from James Ward-Prowse on 42. A ball on the right, crossed in from Soufal, clipped back to James Ward-Prowse, and Wes read it, saved, and tried to get things going for the Blades, but the passing from United's midfield was so poor. Possession just given up time and time again, as we saw when a cross from the left, aimed at the 28-year-old Souček, was met by the Czech at the far, and he headed the ball in towards the top corner, and Wes punched it away. 3 minutes added on at the end of the first half, a first half in which Bowen and James Ward-Prowse really stood out. A stat I heard at half-time, 12 goals conceded by the Blades since we went into added time in the second half at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and we've not scored any. What an absolutely terrifying stat. You think about when we went to 90 minutes against Spurs, the ball is held up. If you told me then, like a game that we're winning against Tottenham, by the way, from this moment up until the end of the West Ham game, you're going to concede 12 and you're not going to score. I said, absolutely no way could that possibly happen. But we went into the second half, no changes. West Ham thought they had a corner on 51, a free kick. James Ward-Prowse on the left. Souček had his shot at the near post blocked, and the Blades survived an early second half scare, but the pressure was relenting, and the Blades were second best at the very start of the second half all over the park. It would change. But after every attack at the start of the second from United, it was just broken down from Sheffield United. It was broken down after 1 or 2 passes, or when there was moments when we tried to run at West Ham's defence, just pitted out into nothing, at best a throw-in. Sousa did manage a chance after a Jackie Long throw-in. It was deflected effort in the box. Wouldn't sit for him. He was like waiting for it. Bounced off his knee, waiting for it to fall down. Wouldn't sit for him. Hit it earlier than he'd have liked. That's because of pressure. It took a deflection off a West Ham man, and the Blades had a corner which was wasted. But the reason I mention this is Egan got injured in the ensuing corner and went down for a time. Looked like a knee injury on his right knee, and Chris Basham would replace him. And that wasn't my choice for what we should have done tactically. I'm not saying after that Chris Basham had a really bad game. I'm just saying we've spent millions on Austin Trusty. Wasn't it 5 million? You know, he must be honking in training because Trusty is not trusted. Does Trusty look rusty? You know, from what Hecky's seeing, I don't know. He would be brought on later, but it felt for me like at that point in the game, such a long amount of the game to go, Anel works in the centre, but maybe that's like too many left footers. Trusty can play in the centre. I don't know, maybe change of formation. I mean, we're 2-0 down. What have you got to lose? But anyway, that was the way. I would definitely, if it's been me, I'd change tactically completely. But best chance for a while on 57 for United. Anel on that second ball, forcing a save at the far post. Fabianski saving it from a header. Not an easy chance for Anel, but it was very close. It's worth mentioning it. Fabianski had to make himself big. It started with a Hamer corner, a header one towards but not on target, and Anel then steered it and made much more of it, directed it on goal, and the keeper saved. A header wide. I'm never quite sure how to say the West Ham defender's name. I'm just going to say Aguirre on 67. Aguirre. From the right side corner from James Ward-Prowse. What a leap that defender, whose name I'm not going to say again, has. The physicality, right, and the size, the power of players in the Premier League is so greatly improved from the Championship. It is, week in, week out, giants. It is strong men. It is, if it's not strong men and giants, it's skillful, quick players every single week. Very few weak links, few errors that are made by the opponents we're playing. So there's very little chance for Sheffield United to capitalise. But of course, in the Championship, it's riddled. Games are riddled with errors. You just watch the highlights. So often you go, oh, an error was pounced on. It just doesn't happen for us against teams we're playing in the Premier League. Tom Davies came on for McAtee on 68. McAtee, I will say, showed good fleet-footed work in the first half, but these games could just continue to pass him by. And I don't want to get too, let's not over-exaggerate here, but I do have to question why McAtee was the man so desired by Paul Heckingbottom over others. I think McAtee is a fantastic player. Love having him at the club. Don't get me wrong, but not at the expense necessarily of others, such as Tommy Doyle, who I think would have been more useful with that foot-in, strength, grit. We clearly need grit. We are a struggling side that needs to get stuck in, I think, over flair, over a trickster. But McAtee will offer far more when we are taking the game to teams. I recognise that. But how often are we going to be taking the game to teams this season? we also look totally devoid of counter-attacking ideas. I mean, I can't believe the way we're playing, because why sign a pace merchant like Cameron Archer if you're not going to play to his strengths? It just seems illogical to have a lot of our play attempted anyway, because it's not always through the middle. In my opinion, for Archer, it's got to be a ball over the top. I'm not saying go long ball all the time, but mix it up. But we seem to be trying to get it out wide. Yeah, well, cross it in. Well, that's, how's that going to work for Archer? But when United did string more than 3 passes together in the second half, it was nice. It was neat. It was intricate stuff. There was a moment in the West Ham box, but McBurney couldn't return the give and go to Bogle, and West Ham broke it up. A moment of excitement lasting around 8 seconds. It was over as quickly as it started. It was over as quickly as a Hans Molman blink. But McBurney had a header wide on 75. It was agonizingly close. You see this from behind the goal and that far post. It is just past that far post. Really, really decent chance. Archer then pulled a ball back in the box on the left, and Bogle had a shot which some thought was a penalty for handball. Not a great strike from Jadon. The shot actually ricocheted off another West Ham defender onto Emerson's hand, but it was by his side, not in an unnatural position. Who knows of the rules, but West Ham weren't going to get a penalty given away there. They would then appeal for a penalty off Bogle in a frantic few minutes. This was all around the 76th minute of the match. If you didn't see the game, I'm sort of trying to paint pictures with words. Then we saw a triple change. Rhian Brewster, baby, was back on for Archer, Anis Ben Slimani, also on for Hamer, as well as Bogle off, and Trusty finally on 79 minutes. By the way, don't get the impression that I'm thinking Trusty is the answer to all our problems, right? He hasn't looked great in the moments we've seen him. I'm just saying that if you are going to scout that player and spend for Sheffield United a lot of money on that player, I am surprised we've not seen more of him. If he's only been signed for competition for Jackie Longthrow, and I know Jackie Longthrow is playing well, relatively speaking, for a back three that aren't playing well, then I think he's going to see very few minutes. It would be a case of if Jack gets injured for 3 months, Trusty's going to play all those 3 months. But, it's not working at the back. We're conceding a lot of goals. So I think you have to look at things differently to just go, right, he's left-footed, so he plays on the left side of the three. That's my mantra. It's not going to change. United would have some half chances, it's fair to say, in the second. And by the way, I'm aware that when Trusty came on, that wasn't exactly what happened there. I'm just thinking from the start. I'm talking about from the start. Is there a way that Trusty and Jack Robinson both start together? I didn't want to get that misconstrued. Anyway, United would have some half chances. 81, Basham cut it back to Tom Davies, and James Ward-Prowse connected with Davies in the box, who went down, but it wasn't a strong appeal. Burnley then had a speculative shot blocked. West Ham had definitely taken their foot off the gas. I think this is really important to mention. There was a spell, maybe 20, 25-minute spell. West Ham were conserving energy, right? They dropped down through the gears and the Blades still couldn't capitalise. And I saw a lot of people saying our second half was much, much better. I really think that's why it was better. I think West Ham knew the job was done. They'd sewn it up. They're not going to go too hard. Understandably, after a long, long time out, Rhian Brewster looked a little like the Spoons salad fingers liked. And that's understandable, and he will get there. And I'm really, really pleased to see him back. There was a scramble in the Blades' goal mouth. Paqueta couldn't get the final touch on 88. A ball in from the left, James Ward-Prowse to Bowen. He had a swipe, but he fell. And it was eventually cleared by Tom Davies after a bit of a hesitation, a bit of a mess of legs from the Blades defenders. I wasn't impressed with that defending, but we got it away. So, can we play two up front in this division? Should we start Slimani and Trusty? Where is our first win coming from? These questions and many more will be discussed tomorrow in our Fans React. Please join us for that. You can also let me know your comments now. So, full time, West Ham 2, Blades 0, 1 point after 7. So, we're on target, on pace for 5 points by the end of the season? I'd like your thoughts. Some thoughts already coming through. Wolfgang Bailey says, first half was poor, especially from the defence. Second half, we looked better. We were better from the moment Egan went off. Next week, we have to start Slimani and Trusty over McAtee and Egan and bring Brewster on a bit earlier if Archer is struggling, like he has since Everton. Josh Senior says, desperately needs a tactical rethink. We can't keep persisting with this wilder ball approach and shoehorn players into it. Back four with Anel and Robinson at centre-back and an extra man in midfield. Surely. Shazbat says, hopefully Hecky keeps the team that finished the match as they sounded more up for it than the team that started. I never expected them to win this match, and whilst it's disappointing that they got through us so easy, again, I'm not that upset that we lost, if that makes sense. James Cheetham saying, encouraged by the last 20 minutes. If Hecky starts Bash over Trusty, though, he's an idiot. Needs to start Slimani over McAtee too. Sousa, immense. Good to see Rhian Brewster back. Christopher, this could genuinely be worse than the 2020-21 season. Blade Runner, I thought that Sousa showed more skill than Berger would have. Time will tell. Robinson, good. Wes, amazing. He is, isn't he? Wes is clearly showing that he is Premier League quality. McBurney, the spirit of the team. I completely agree with that. Yes, the first goal, another cross. What's that? 10? Crazy. We need new managers, plural. What are you thinking? Who? I mean, who? Heckingbottom will be the first manager sacked. A lot of people now getting on that train. Pass it like we don't pass it. Absolutely, and we can pass it because we saw that last season. And I'll just say this on the Hecky thing, right? If we go down, right, and I'll level with you, right? Just us speaking. We're going down. Who better to get us back up than a man who clearly can already get us back up because he's proven that he can get us up. So what manager is going to come in with this group of players and change things? Like, seriously, that Sheffield United could attract. People are saying Sam Allardyce. People are saying Graham Potter, Ralph Hasenhüttl. These are names that I'm reading now. These are all good managers, right? But bear in mind, we didn't have a lot of money, and people will say we've hardly spent anything. For Sheffield United, who don't have a lot of money, we actually have spent quite a lot for us. So how much is left in the pot to throw at paying off Paul Heckingbottom, and you'd assume his backroom staff, a backroom staff that I adore. And then you've got to get in a manager that will want, let's say Graham Potter, right? Will probably want pretty high wages, right? That makes sense. And that's a gamble. And it might not make any difference. And then you think, right, what, is that till the end of the season? Because that might be the deal, because like maybe Graham Potter's not going to want to go down to the Championship. Is he going to want that after what he's achieved? His European success previously? I don't think it makes much difference. I think it would be a reaction that's probably unnecessary, and just stick with it because it's not going to make any difference. Hecky's got to play the cards he's been dealt. And you know what? Whoever's in charge, I think they've really, really struggled with this. We just don't look like we have the personnel. And I want to be proven wrong. Desperately, desperately want to be proven wrong. But, it might be other things. Let me just add the suggestion there. It might be other things. It might not just be the manager. But what I think the manager should do is look at implementing different approaches, different tactics. I know he did in game against Newcastle, but it was too far gone by then. We're just not good enough, unfortunately. We'll struggle to beat Derby's record. I mean, we've got, is the target now 12 points? Toothless strikers, nervy defenders, static midfield. I think that's the best way of describing it, actually. I wish I had used that. I mean, of course, they do run around a fair bit, but it's the passing. I was trying to count 4 passes in the midfield, and I couldn't write down a note where we had 4 in the midfield. But Gary, totally agree, Hal. We were never getting back into that game. That first goal was woeful defending. Don't know where we go from here. Archer needs time to bond. He does need time to bond. Of course, he developed that nice relationship in that Everton game, and then didn't have time really, very little time on the ball. And then McBurney got himself suspended. And certain games I don't think are going to suit Archer, but I really would like to see things changed in terms of our approach. We just don't seem to have the heart anymore. Not sure if it's anything in the dressing room. So now this could be a question. Now, Joseph, this is a good point, right? I don't know what's going on. Like, if anything, probably nothing. But if you were to prove to me that actually something has gone on and there is a real reason for changing things in terms of a coaching capacity because they've down tools for a reason, and that reason stems from the coaching staff, then yeah, okay, I could talk about a change then. But I don't think that's happened. I've heard absolutely nothing to suggest that has happened. So I don't think so. Generally, I'm still at the moment thinking, keep it. Was it Areola? Yeah, it might have been. I actually said in the preview, Areola, absolutely brilliant goalkeeper, and one that was really struggled to get past. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to check that now. This is what you came to watch. This is live. And it was Areola. Why did I say Fabianski? I've absolutely no idea. I just had a moment there. I went walking yesterday. I got lost in some mountains. It was actually a genuinely terrifying experience. I thought I'm gonna have to sleep outside. Hal Stewart doesn't sleep outside. I mean, maybe if it's like a 5-star and it's got like an open roof skylight or something. But I managed to find my way back. Anyway, I'm incredibly tired. I had to run. It was about 15 kilometers. I don't run either. I desperately wanted to sign Watkins. Oh, that would have been amazing back then. Absolutely. Would have, Bowen as well. It's funny, I was actually talking to a few West Ham fans about Bowen when I was doing a million West Ham podcasts. By the way, some of the comments, crikey. I did I think 5 West Ham podcasts and YouTube channels, and I did them all differently. I changed my the way that I brought my attitude. Like some of them I was like, I hate West Ham, hate all you fans, and others I was really complimentary, just to make it interesting for me. It's great reading the comments. In January, we need to sign that monster number 9 from Stuttgart that we faced in pre-season because McBurney gets injured. We are left with midgets up front against giant defenders. As a man who is the perfect height for a man and 1 inch above average height, I'm never going to call another man a midget. At times, the determination not to give up was in evidence. Yes, that's true. That's true. Let's try and grab some where we can. Positives, that is. Probably shouldn't just leave that sentence hanging. You must hate that result as you hate us so much. So that's he'll have watched one of the YouTube channels where I decided to go that way. Probably a West Ham fan there. Mr. Vancouver, another dreadful display. You can see the lack of confidence in the player's body language. Somebody needs to start somewhere. He looks a goal-scoring threat. One thing I will say is when we talk about body language, I like Vinny Sousa's body language. I like it against Newcastle. He did it like, when he won a throw-in. He did it again today. He is the king of body language. West Ham fans said that after listening to Hal on their preview, they started to like Sheff United. See, so that's one of the ones where I did. Nice, Hal. You just got to mix it up. Like when I go to a party and there's lots of people there, I don't know if other people do this. I change what I do for a living when I speak to different people, change backstories, but lie basically, because I get bored talking to people quite often. Lots of people, lots of new people that I'm never going to see again. So I just try and keep it, interesting. Anyway, that's just nothing to do with the game. No passion, no fight whatsoever. It's kind of, in a way, interesting reading some of these because some of you are feeling like it was a decent second half performance. Others are feeling like the whole thing was just woeful. I can't stand this, but yeah. So there is an argument for what have we got to lose by trying a different system from the off? I really think Lincoln at home was just a massive missed opportunity to try a few different things. Because if you're going to put in such a lackluster display like we did against Lincoln, really mix it up. We are probably not suited anymore to playing 2 out-and-out strikers because we see so little of the ball. So opportunities have been missed, I think, to change things and try other systems. Our players are great in the Championship. These Premiership players are unreal. They really are. They really are. I said this on the previous match reaction. It feels like it's gone up another level since we were last here. The talent level in the Premier League. It is the best league in the world. It's like Serie A back in the mid-90s, and we're in it. And sometimes it looks like we shouldn't be. It's going to be a long season, Blades. Try and stick with us. I've got a horrible feeling that views, interest generally for, and indeed appetite for Sheffield United content is probably worryingly going to be less than when we're winning. Try and stick with us. We're going to be here regardless. I'll be back tomorrow for a Fans React. Hopefully you can join us for that. Cheers.